My father arrived in Ellis Island without speaking a word of English, but from a series of remarkable schools, the Bronx High School of Science and the City College of New York, he became a faculty member at the University of Illinois. That's where I started, at Uni High in Urbana, Illinois, degrees in physics and mathematics at Cornell University, a PhD in physics at the University of California at Santa Barbara, and a faculty position in physics at the University of Texas at Austin. A while after I arrived, I joined with other faculty and some master teachers and began preparing science and mathematics teachers through a program called UTeach. At first, there was a trickle of graduates, then dozens, and then hundreds, wonderful young people going off to teach science and mathematics in public schools. The program got national attention, we obtained funds for replication, and after a while, the numbers of students we were preparing went from the hundreds to the thousands, coming from all parts of the country. But there were voices calling this into a question. We heard that in the last 3 decades, per pupil spending on K-12 education has doubled, achievement scores have been flat. We have to approach education in a very severe way, maybe even blow up the current system. And I wondered, is that really true? What did data say about it? My training as a physicist helped me look into it, and I got a message very quickly that said that nothing makes sense in education except in the light of poverty. Let's look at an example from my home state of Texas. Take every high school in Texas and plot the percentage of graduates with college-ready SAT or ACT scores. Now, if you do this, and if you just plop high schools down according to the percentage of students who are college-ready, it doesn't make very much sense. But if you spread them out, and you spread them out according to poverty concentration in the schools, then there is a pattern with better-off students on the left and low-income students on the right, as defined by free and reduced lunch. You see a very strong dependence of college readiness on concentration of poverty. Now, some say that although poverty presents real challenges, even in the toughest of neighborhoods and circumstances, children excel when the right adults are doing the right things for them. But there's a problem with this. If you look over at the right-hand side of the graph where poverty is most concentrated, you just don't see any schools. They aren't there. Well, you think, what about the charter schools? They're doing a great job, aren't they? So I highlight the charter schools in Texas. You can see that almost all of them are on the horizontal axis. They're rescue schools, just trying to have students get out of high school at all. There is a small number doing as well as any other public schools over with highly concentrated poverty, but the overall lesson is the following, that no Texas schools with highly concentrated poverty, at least right now, reach a high academic level with most students, not even the charters. We know our international standing is not good, that among 30 developed countries, the United States is ranked 25th in math, 21st in science, and even our best students are not doing so well. Well, it's true. The data come from PISA, the Program for International Student Assessment, and here is the United States plotted against other Western European countries and some from Asia, and we really do not look very strong at all. We're ranked near the bottom. But there is another way to look at this. UNICEF has provided data on poverty for every country, but not just any form of poverty, child poverty after taxes and transfers. PISA has broken the United States schools into 5 quintiles depending on the poverty level in the schools. And so if you look at the United States schools, which are the richest, where only 0 to 10% of the students are eligible for free lunch, those schools actually rank ahead of Finland. The next quintile compares well with the Netherlands and Germany. The third quintile actually puts us near the bottom of Western Europe, but we have 2 quintiles to go, and it's those that are really bringing down the US averages. So the conclusion here is that when broken out by poverty level, US schools actually compare well with the other countries where a sensible comparison is possible to make, taking poverty into account. Well, let's come back to that claim that US scores have been flatlining. Let's use the National Assessment of Educational Progress, the nation's report card, or NAEP. I'm going to show you 8th grade mathematics scores, and the reason for this is that it's the highest grade I can go to and still get reasonably frequent data. We'll look at the scores from 2000 to 2011. In this chart, every bubble is a state. For example, that's California, and that's Tennessee. The color indicates the poverty in the state, the free lunch fraction in the state. The size of every bubble shows the total number of students in the state. The horizontal axis gives 8th grade mathematics scores for better off students, those not eligible for free reduced lunch, and the vertical axis gives the scores for the lower income students, those eligible for free or reduced lunch. These are showing data for 2000. Let's turn time on and see how the states evolve as time goes forward from 2000 to 2011. If the scores are flatlining, then everyone stays where they are. If they move to the right, then better off students are getting higher scores. If they go up, then low-income students are getting higher scores. And guess what? Everybody is getting better. Even that little jurisdiction down there at the lower left. And, well, what is that jurisdiction? That's the District of Columbia. Let's look at some other states. Here is California. Here is North Carolina, Ohio, Kansas, New Jersey. Here's Texas, which has the highest score for low-income students, and Massachusetts is on the right with the highest scores for the better-off students. So it may seem surprising, but the reality is that the states have all been getting better. So where's the story come from that the costs are doubling and the scores are flatlining? There must be something to it. Well, yes, there is. And to demonstrate that, I'm going to change the previous graph a little bit, and I'm going to put on the vertical axis the cost per pupil in constant 2009 dollars. The horizontal axis will still have performance of low-income students. So the costs actually varied widely even back in 2000. There was Utah at the very bottom, Idaho, Texas is a fairly low cost state. The states are color-coded by teacher bargaining status. The blue ones, teachers do not have collective bargaining rights. And let's let time start running. The states start moving to the right because scores are getting better, but also some of them at least are moving up. There are 3 that are going to rise way above the top of the rest. Let's watch them go. There they go. And now let's see which 3 they are. They are New York, New Jersey, and the District of Columbia. Down at the bottom is Utah, Idaho, and Texas, which remained pretty much flat in constant dollars. So what's going on here turns conventional wisdom on its head. The scores of well-off and low-income students have actually risen in almost every state since 2000. There were large rises in cost, but they were restricted to New York, New Jersey, and the District of Columbia. So maybe the reason that the stories keep emerging that costs are soaring while scores don't is that the media and policymakers are concentrated in DC, New York, and New Jersey, where these statements are closest to being true. One final thought. Next time you hear that the public schools are broken, don't believe it. Teachers are working terribly hard, and the whole country has actually made terrific progress. Public schools have made us great. Be proud. Aim higher.